All right, so lately we've been like really digging into AI, and there's this new thing, Deepseek R1. It's a Chinese AI model, and it's like seriously shaking things up. It's making waves, causing some like serious jitters in the stock market even. And we're talking about a transcript of a YouTube video that's like buzzing with excitement about this new tech, maybe even a little bit of anxiety too. So is this just another cool AI story? Or is this like a major power shift happening right in front of us? That's what we're going to figure out today. So by the end of this deep dive, you'll understand not just what Deepseek R1 is, but why it matters to the future of AI. And maybe even to your own life.
It really does feel different this time. I think what's got everyone so on edge is that Deepseek R1, it's not just another AI model.
Right.
This one is open source, which means anyone can access it. And it's coming out of Deepseek, a Chinese startup that nobody really saw coming.
Yeah, this isn't like Google or Microsoft or something. So what's got everyone buzzing about it? Is it just hype?
I don't think so. The buzz is definitely justified. Deepseek R1 is like turning heads. Because it's not just capable, it's incredibly efficient too. We're talking 97% accuracy on math problems, which is already really impressive on its own. But it also outperforms 96% of human programmers on code forces, which is a competitive programming platform. So that puts it right up there with OpenAI's GPT models, which have been the gold standard so far.
Wow, that's impressive. But there's got to be more to it than that, right? I mean, this YouTube video kept mentioning something about efficiency.
Yeah, that's the real game changer here. Deepseek R1 manages to achieve all this using a fraction of the computing resources of its Western counterparts. So imagine the cost savings there. That's why everyone's freaking out. It's cheaper, more accessible AI. Could completely change the game. Smaller businesses, researchers, even individual creators could potentially access tools that were previously only available. They're like big players with tons of money to throw around.
So we're talking about a potential democratization of AI. That's huge. But how does it even work? What's the secret sauce behind Deepseek R1's efficiency?
It all boils down to their approach. They call it chain of thought processing.
Okay, I'm listening. Chain of thought processing. Tell me more.
All right, so imagine you're trying to debug a piece of code. You wouldn't just start changing things randomly, right? You'd follow a logical process. Think through the steps. Eliminate possibilities one by one. That's kind of what chain of thought processing is all about. It's a way of training AI to think more like humans, breaking down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, and then explaining its reasoning along the way.
So it's not just about getting the right answer, it's about being able to show its work, so to speak.
Exactly, and that's a big deal for transparency. And understanding how AI actually arrives at its conclusions, it can help us identify potential biases or errors in AI's reasoning,
So Deepseek R1 is not just powerful and efficient, it's also more transparent. Okay, so where did Deepseek even come from? The company behind all this. They seem to have come out of nowhere.
Yeah, their backstory is pretty interesting. They actually spun out from the research arm of Hikeflyer, which is a phenomenally successful Chinese quantitative hedge fund.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a company that made its fortune predicting financial markets, and now they're turning their attention to AI.
That's quite a pivot, from playing the market to potentially building the tools that could outthink the market. And who's the mastermind behind all of this?
The founder, Lian Wenfeng. He's kind of an enigma, to be honest. From what we can tell, he seems more motivated by scientific curiosity than by profit. He literally left a world synonymous with profits for the uncharted territory of AI research.
That's pretty intriguing. What about the team behind Deepseek R1? Are we talking seasoned veterans or fresh faces?
It's a young and ambitious team mostly, largely made up of graduates from top Chinese universities, like Peking University and Tsinghua University. They seem drawn to Deepseek's mission and the opportunity to push the boundaries of AI.
So there's a sense of national pride at play here, too, a desire to make a statement on the global stage.
Definitely. You can't ignore the geopolitical context here. Deepseek R1's emergence is a direct challenge to U.S. dominance in AI. It positions China as a major contender in the global tech race, which has all sorts of implications for international relations and future tech policy.
This is getting pretty intense. We're talking market disruption, a potential power shift, and a whole lot of national pride. This Deepseek R1 rabbit hole goes even deeper, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Remember, this advancement could impact way more than just the tech world. We haven't even touched on how this level of AI efficiency could change the future of work. Think about what this could mean for jobs in manufacturing, customer service, even programming.
And what about the ethical implications? We're talking about giving machines the ability to think, learn and make decisions, essentially impacting people's livelihoods.
Exactly. Deepseek R1 is raising a lot of questions that we need to grapple with. Questions about responsible development, potential biases, and the unintended consequences of increasingly powerful AI.
There's definitely a lot to unpack here. Buckle up, because we're just getting started.
It's pretty wild, right? This huge AI thing coming from a company with such a weird background, like challenging everything we thought we knew and making us rethink the future of work.
Yeah, it's a lot. And like we said, we're just scratching the surface. I mean, we've talked about jobs, but what about the big picture? What does this mean for society as a whole?
That's where it gets really interesting. I mean, think about it. Deepseek R1's efficiency could totally level the playing field, give smaller players and developing countries access to AI tools that were just way too expensive before.
So you're saying it won't just be big tech companies anymore?
Exactly. Imagine a world where any company, any researcher, could work with cutting-edge AI.
That's a pretty optimistic take, but let's be real. There are downsides too, right? I mean, what about job losses, economic chaos, people using this tech for bad stuff?
Oh, definitely. Two sides to every coin, as they say. We need to be talking about those risks, for sure. Like, what kind of safety nets do we need? How do we make sure AI is developed responsibly? How do we prepare people for the changes that are coming?
Big questions, and these go way beyond any one country or company. This is global. But speaking of countries, this whole thing kind of throws a wrench in the whole power dynamic.
In the tech world, right?
For sure. I mean, Deepseek R1, it challenges the U.S.'s dominance in AI. Big time. It's like a shift towards a world where tech isn't just coming from Silicon Valley, it's coming from everywhere.
So what does that mean for, like, the U.S. and China? More teamwork or more competition, maybe even conflict?
It's the big question, isn't it? A lot depends on how things play out. There's definitely potential for competition and tension, as both countries try to be number one in tech. But there's also the possibility of them working together, realizing that AI is a global issue. It's like we're at a fork in the road, and the decisions we make now will decide everything.
Exactly. And it's not just about governments and big companies either. It's about all of us.
Right. So let's talk about us. This YouTube video mentioned something about ASML, a Dutch company, being a key part of all this. What's the deal with that?
So ASML, they're actually a major player in the whole semiconductor supply chain. They make the machines that are essential for making those super advanced computer chips.
So even with all of China's progress with AI, they still need this Dutch company for the actual hardware.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? It shows how complicated this whole thing is. ASML's tech gives them a lot of power. They're a big deal in the global tech landscape, no matter who's writing the software.
It's like even with this huge leap forward with Deepseek R1, there are still these bottlenecks, these dependencies.
Exactly. And that brings us to something else. Deepseek R1's limitations, because it's not perfect.
Right. So let's talk about those limitations. What can't Deepseek R1 do?
Well, even though it's super efficient, it still needs tons and tons of data to learn. And getting that data isn't always easy or ethical. There's also the problem of bias in the data, which can lead to biased outcomes,
Right, like garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. And then there's the explainability problem. I mean, even though chain of thought processing is a step towards more transparency, it's not the whole solution. We still don't completely understand how these complex systems actually come to their conclusions.
Which can be a big problem when it comes to, trust and accountability.
Absolutely.
So Deepseek R1 is a huge step forward, but not a silver bullet.
Nope. Still a lot of work to do.
So where do we go from here?
Well, the challenge now is to build on what we've learned, address those limitations, and make sure AI is used to benefit everyone.
This deep dive has been wild. We've gone from the nitty-gritty of Deepseek R1 to its potential effects on society, global power dynamics, ethical questions, everything.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
That's the point, right? To get people curious, to get them thinking critically, and to empower them to be part of this conversation about the future of AI.
So to our listener, we're leaving you with this. What does Deepseek R1 mean for you? How are you going to navigate this crazy world of AI? Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and stay tuned for more deep dives into this amazing world of tech. So we talked about chain of thought processing, but how did that actually work? What's the tech behind it?
Okay, so think of Deepseek R1 as a team of specialists, each one really good at something specific. It's called mixture of experts architecture.
So like an AI brain trust with different experts for different tasks.
Exactly. Depending on what needs to be done, Deepseek R1 picks the best expert for the job. Super efficient, because it's not wasting energy on stuff it doesn't need.
So instead of being a jack of all trades, it's more like a specialized consulting firm or something.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that's a big reason why it can do so much, with way less computing power.
Okay, but this chain of thought thing, how does it learn to think that way? This video mentioned something about reinforcement learning.
Right. So reinforcement learning is how it learns to make those chains of thought. It's like training a dog with treats. You reward the model when it explains its reasoning well, not just for getting the right answer. The better the explanation, the bigger the reward. So over time, Deepseek R1 gets really good at explaining itself.
So it's not just brute force calculation, it's learning to think strategically.
Exactly. That's what makes Deepseek R1 so different. It's a whole new way of thinking about AI. You don't need a giant supercomputer anymore.
So, big question. After this deep dive, what's your take? Is Deepseek R1 a game changer, a warning, or something else entirely?
I think it's a wake-up call. For sure, it shows that things can change really fast in AI, and that we all need to be paying attention. The future is being written right now, and we all have part to play.
Yeah, it's both exciting and kind of scary. We're entering a whole new era of AI, and we need to be careful.
Absolutely. That's why these conversations are so important. We need to keep asking questions, exploring the possibilities, and thinking about the implications.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've covered so much, from the technical stuff to the societal impact, global power dynamics, ethical dilemmas. I mean, wow.
And that's what we wanted to do. Spark some curiosity, get people thinking critically, and help them feel empowered to be part of this conversation about the future of AI.
So to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. What does Deepseek R1 mean for you? How are you going to deal with this new world of AI? Keep learning, keep asking questions, and thanks for joining us on this deep dive.